Welcome back to the Judo Way of Life podcast. It's been well over a year now since we recorded an episode, so I had a bit of a break to work on a few other different projects, and then sort of time got away from me a little bit there, but really happy to be back, and really happy to be back with the gentleman that I'm speaking to. So the last time I spoke with this guy, he was somewhere, I think it was in Kazakhstan maybe, and he was in a cafe, and there was a lot of background noise of coffees being made. So today it's great. We actually sat opposite each other, and you might actually hear some sounds. This is the first podcast I've recorded since getting a couple of little dogs, so there might be some barking and running around in the background. So we'll see how we go. But no, it's great. So today I am speaking with Julien Brulard, otherwise known as the Judo Nomad. So as I said, we connected sometime back in 2022, and we've been in contact ever since as his project has gathered momentum, and he's been traveling further and wider around the world teaching judo. And it's great to actually be sat here with him today. We did some judo yesterday, came down to the Judo Way of Life Academy and taught the kids, and we did a bit of randori last week as well. So thank you, Julien, for coming back on and doing the first of the second season of podcasts.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me here, David, and hello to everybody. I'm very happy to be in the podcast, and also very happy to be in Australia as well, Oceania. Back then when we met, online, I thought that Australia might be maybe the end of the project, but today I realized that I'm still very far from it. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you again.
Oh, good. How are you enjoying Australia so far?
Yeah, so far it's very good. I arrived here by the end of December for Christmas pretty much. And so at the moment we're recording, we are in the beginning of March, and I've been going all around Queensland, pretty much all around Queensland. And I took 1 month off Australia to go to Vanuatu and Fiji. I've met lovely people. It was a little bit hard in the beginning. I didn't have so much contact, but then I started to meet people all around Australia, and it went very fine, at least for the Queensland. Now I'm just arriving in the New South Wales. I don't have so much contacts yet here, but the few contacts I have are people that help a lot, like you, for example, but also Shane, that is working for the Australian Judo Federation, and now that the project is quite well recognized, I also have the Australian Judo Federation that help, even the Oceanian Judo Federation. So I think there is still much more things to do, much more things that's going to happen with the Judo Nomad project in Australia, and I'm really looking forward to it, though I have to make that fit with my visa, so it's just another thing.
Yeah. So obviously, like I said, we have had a conversation before. We really covered what the Judo Nomad project was all about. Mm-hmm. So if you're new to this and if this is the first time you've heard about Julien and his project, you can go back and listen to that episode. But just as a quick overview for any sort of new listeners, anyone that's new to this idea, what's going on, maybe you could just give a quick overview of what the project's about and what the aim is.
Yeah, sure. And actually, the idea I had 10 years ago when I wanted to do the project is different than what I did when I launched the project. And probably now it's a little bit different from the last time I spoke to you in Kazakhstan, because when I was in Kazakhstan, the project was 197 countries, no flight, and teaching judo for free everywhere. And so the thing is, the last year I had no choice to fly, especially here, for example, from Indonesia to Australia. Like, I had the possibility of not flying, but it was way too expensive. So yeah, pretty much the thing is going to all the countries teaching judo for free, and I'm sharing everything on the social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, sometimes TikTok. I'm working in collaboration with the International Judo Federation, that they like the project and they promote it as I'm promoting judo as well. And so every month they publish a monthly article about the countries where I've been. Right now I'm working on the Fiji and Vanuatu article that's going to be published, I think, within a week. And so yeah, it's been going good. 39 countries so far, 3 years almost, and yeah, good. Sometimes some things happen, but overall it's really good.
So how many judo how many dojos do you reckon you visited so far on the trip?
So actually it depends of the countries. Like some countries I've been to only one club or only the national team and then go. But since 1 year now, everywhere I go, I start to have more and more people asking me to come. So it's going to be something between 200 and 300, either club or national team. The thing that changed also since the last time is now I'm teaching in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA, but I'm teaching Judo still in those sports. So it's helping more actually about the financial situation, but also has someone that doing martial arts and not only the sport of Judo. I think it's a very good way to challenge myself in order to be able to teach people that doing something else. And on the other hand, I think it just if we don't think about the politics, about the relationship between MMA, Judo and everything, I think it just makes a lot of sense actually to try to promote Judo in those sports. I'm really glad that I got people interested, and I know that I got some people in Australia even that took Judo class because of the seminar I did. Like in Mackay, for example, we did a seminar with Ari. I hope that he's going to listen to the podcast. And we did a seminar in Mackay MMA. We did Judo together before also, and people loved it in the class over there. And so the gym, MMA gym, they decided to launch a Judo class, and now Ari is the teacher of the Judo class, and apparently it's working just great. So yeah, I'm really happy that in every kind of way I'm trying to promote Judo, and so far it's working.
Yeah, awesome. I think, like you say, when the politics between the different disciplines comes in, it sort of ruins the potential for Judo to grow as a sport and for more people to get involved. And sounds like you're helping pave the way for a new generation of Judo players, which is great. In terms of your teaching, when you go into, say, an MMA or a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym, do you change how you teach the Judo much, or are you relatively stable in your approach regardless of where you are?
No, I'm changing a little bit, yeah. Those people, they have very different approach of sport than us Judo player can have. For example, Judo players, we know that everything is pretty much about repetition, about all the time you're going to spend, and sometimes it's boring to learn something, but that's the way it is. And over there, it's kind of, I would call it the TikTok of Judo. You know, it's like you need to make things fast, impressive, and yeah, I need to wrap it really fast. So what I'm doing for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is mostly I will focus on the grip, and in MMA it's mostly the ashiwaza and some of a takedown. And yeah, I want to make things that we're not used to see in MMA. And for example, since they don't train that too much, they are not that good usually with the legs. And so doing some simple ashiwaza takedown like the ashibarai, okure ashibarai, and things like that, for many people look like I'm doing some magic. And that's really nice actually as a teacher to have those people with like wide eyes open when you do something, you know. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to do with them, is like teaching impressive things. And then when I get the attention and they're like, oh, okay, Judo is legit, then we're going to more detail into what could actually work. Maybe less sexy things. Like, for example, if we're in a cage, you're against the wall, then it won't be like the huge throw anymore, but some very sneaky kosotogari and stuff like this. It's not very impressive, but this is working good. So yeah, first way, impressive first, then when I got their attention, we can go to the real work.
Yeah, nice. And as I said at the beginning of the podcast, you came to the Judo Way of Life Academy last night and you taught how many different age groups? I think 3 different age groups, from the little kids, 4 or 5-year-olds, all the way through to a senior class. And for me, I love ashiwaza, as anyone's followed me for any length of time will know. And I was very happy to see that you were teaching ashiwaza to the students. And when going into a session like that, how do you plan? Do you have an idea of what you're going to teach, or do you think it up on the fly?
Yeah. So yesterday I had no idea because I remember the name of your class is like Honey Badger. And
no, Honey Badgers are the little kids because they're fearsome.
I understood like Honey Badger might not be some competitive senior or something like that, you know. But anyway, I didn't really had idea about what kind of people I would have in front of me. So this happened a lot in the project, and in that situation I have class that are already wrapped, and yeah, I just know how to do them. I've been doing them like for 3 years now, and so I'm good at it, I think. And even though, like, for example, yesterday I was a little bit injured, like some problem in my hips and stuff like this, still we could find something. But sometimes, especially when I'm coming to the national teams, especially if they ask me to stay a little bit longer, you know, like to make a seminar or something like that. For example, it happened for quite a long time in Indonesia. People have some specific requests. And for example, the request when I was in Indonesia was, we want to learn the French kumikata. We want, especially for the girls, we want our girls to not be dominated anymore in the kumikata. And so for more than a week, we've been working only on the kumikata. So I just adapt to the situation. Either I have nothing and I have like 4 class that I can do very good in Tachiwaza, 4 class and I can do very good in Newaza. And usually I don't need more than that actually for what I do. Or I have a specific request from people and then I do my homework, and even though maybe I'm not that good in those things, we can still work out something. But then I used to be a teacher before, like for a group that you keep for a long time, you know, and then yeah, those one I know how to make a proper like planification for a year or even for an Olympic 4 years, you know. Like actually before I did that project, it used to be my work. Like I was focusing in sports science. And so like the planification and all that is what I really liked. But well, now I'm here doing judo and I like it more actually.
Yeah, it's like I said, I've had the same conversation with people where I've got like a set amount of lesson plans in my head that I can just roll out whenever I need to roll out. And then yeah, if you get any special requests, you try and adapt and change. Yeah. So that's good. Let's go back to our last conversation. So obviously you're in Kazakhstan in a little cafe there. Let's talk through, because if anyone's been following you, maybe they'll have seen some of the ups and downs of the journey. But if people haven't, you know, we can go through some of your travels, your trials and tribulations from that point up until now. Yeah.
Well, actually, the good point for you is that I'm speaking English in that podcast, and so like when I'm doing podcast in French and stuff like this, I try to avoid the bad stuff that happened because my family can listen, and some of them know, but some of them don't know everything that happened. So yeah, with you it's very okay. So one of the things I said that in the beginning I was not flying at all. And so when I was in Kazakhstan, I was talking about it in the last podcast already, but it was a very complicated situation because COVID was still running, even though it was the end. So I couldn't access China. And between Kazakhstan and Mongolia, there is 8 kilometers of China. So I couldn't access Mongolia for the same reason. Below was Kyrgyzstan, where I went just after. Up was Russia. As I just had the collaboration with IGF, which is represented by Olympic Committee, and back then the Olympic Committee banned the Russian. As a judo ambassador, it was not very good to go in Russia, so I chose to not go at that time, even though I would have loved to. Though I really think that next year I will go there, and like without any problem with IGF and everything, because I just want to represent judo. I don't want to talk about politics. Like actually after Russia I will go to Ukraine. But yeah, to come back to our point, so yeah, at some point I had to fly because everything was closed around me. I've asked to go to Afghanistan and I've had some scary answers, let's say, like potentially my life could have been in danger over there. So I choose to not go and to take the first flight ever of the project from Tajikistan, where by the way it was amazing time, to Nepal. And so yeah, just before that I've been going to Kyrgyzstan, where I've had some big problem, like the federation, the judo, everything happened that was lovely. I've met really nice people. The judo academy in Kyrgyzstan is really impressive. We went for the preparation of the world championship with the team, like in a lake called Isiku Lake, and so I could see everything, like how they planned the World Championship, and actually I followed them to the World Championship. So it was really nice. For 1 month, I really lived what it was to be in the team for Kyrgyzstan. But then at some point I had bad luck, let's say, and I met the wrong people, and I ended up in jail in this country. I've been set up by mafia pretty much over there. And well, if you want to see all the details, I made a video on my YouTube channel. But I had to pay a lot of money in order to survive, because they wanted either to castrate me or maybe to kill me or to stay 10 years in jail. And like the people that I had around me were not very friendly, so I thought that I should not stay there, And yeah, basically I just spent 6,000 euro to leave the jail. Because they just wanted money. Actually, they never had anything written on my name over there. And so I left the jail, and then I ran away to Uzbekistan, which was my next country. And good thing is it was the World Championship just at that time, in the same time. And so I went there and tried to cope with the situation, see the World Championship, meeting some friends from judo. And so I did my things. Then after Uzbekistan, I went to Tajikistan. And after Tajikistan, I took the flight to Nepal. And then it went all the way Nepal, India, Bangladesh, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and Australia, with, let's say, a weird time between Nepal and Thailand, where I don't know, I was into a very weird mindset, probably because of what happened. By the way, in between I came back home for Christmas, and it's like I was watching myself doing things more than living it. And then in Thailand, I kind of woke up from the situation and realizing that the project was about to die, because I'm talking about the 6,000 euro, but on the other hand, I lost my sponsor back then that was giving me 500 euro a month. And I've had a lot of problem. I had my camera broken. I think I was talking about it in the last episode already, but camera broken, drone hijacked by the Syrian army. What else? I had some problem also with the tax and everything. I missed a flight to come back home in France to look for money. I was coming back in France, and then I missed my flight, and they made me pay 1,000 more. So in the end, the 2023 years cost me 20,000 euro, which was the total amount of, even more actually, of what I had for the project. So I went from living with a little bit more than 1,000 euro a month to 250 from one day to the other. So it was very complicated, and that's the reason why actually I stayed nearly 5 months in Indonesia, because I was trying to build up back the financial situation before arriving in Australia, because I was scared that in Australia I would not last 3 weeks because of the cost of life here, And it's been going quite good. Beginning was scary. Queensland was amazing. The financial situation was getting better, and now here I'm in Sydney, and I'm a little bit in between. I don't know yet how it's gonna be here. So yeah, that's been the way from Kazakhstan to here.
Yeah, and you also said you popped over to some of the little islands as well, to Fiji and Vanuatu.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot about that. And actually, it was amazing time. So shame on me that I forgot to mention about that. But I've met. So actually, I didn't meet him, and I'm really waiting to meet Josate Kinolu. He's the one that gave me the first contact in Australia, which was Xavier Barker. And then from Xavier Barker and you, actually, I had all the contact descending from him to all the contact in like Innisfail, Mackay, Brisbane, Jeremy Cade also, that helped me a lot. I was hosted in his dojo. And then from Brisbane, I went to Fiji first, thanks to Joe that introduced me to Tiko, which is the president of Fiji Judo, and Nemani, one of the teachers over there. And so I stayed 2 weeks there, teaching, yes, but more working on the how to develop the federation, because there are only 120 members with 40 people that train. And yes, they're gonna have someone, maybe 1 or 2 people that's going to go for the Olympic, but the real thing is trying to develop judo over there. So we've been trying to work on that also. Like, for example, this is a backstage information, but we know that a lot of judo players, when they're strong enough, they just quit judo over there to go for rugby because there's money in rugby, and money for Fiji judo is quite hard, except if you're strong and famous, like Natsanieli. It used to be a strong guy from the Takayawa family that won the Commonwealth 2003, I think. 2002. You much
Manchester.
better than me.
I know. My hometown.
Yeah, and he's been participating in 3 Olympics. So obviously that guy, he had a sponsor and everything was fine financially. But for the other one, it's very hard. And anyway, after Fiji, so in Fiji, I was in. It was interesting actually because the people that go to Fiji, they only see the paradise, but it's some kind of luxury paradise. Fiji is really expensive if you want to travel as a tourist, and they don't go to the capital. I went to the capital where people really live, and it's not that it's poor, it's not rich either, it's a little bit in between, but like the real life of people is much different than what we can see on the social media and everything, like the white sand beach with the like cocktails and everything. No, this is not what I know from Fiji. I was living in a big city, Suva, where people told me, after 11 p.m. you don't come back home alone, you have to take a taxi because it's going to be dangerous. But on the other hand, I think it's also just because they wanted me to be safe and not have any trouble. But all the single experience I had with every people in Fiji, every time people are just so nice. Like they see me, obviously there's not many white people in the streets, so they see me and they just want to take pictures with me, like saying hello and stuff like this. So really lovely people there, and I'm really waiting actually to come back to Fiji. After Fiji, I went to Vanuatu. There I was hosted by the president of the federation, Nicolas Monvoisin. And very interesting country. It used to be British-French colony. And there's also something with Spain, but I forgot what. The thing is, they speak that language called Bishlama, which is a mix of English, French, and some Spanish. And I could catch the language pretty quick, actually. Within a week, I started to understand what they were telling me in Bishlama. But a lot of them speak French, otherwise we just speak English and it's fine. And it's pretty much the same situation as Fiji for judo. They have like 100 people doing judo, but the president of the federation is doing that as a volunteer. They have one person that's going to go for the Olympic. And actually it's not confirmed yet, but I might be the one that coach him in Paris Olympics. So his name is Hugo Combo, and we actually need to be more in contact together to organize everything. The situation is similar, but somehow different. Like the organization and everything in Vanuatu is a little bit better than Fiji. Like they work more and doing the things correctly. For example, I arrived there. They worked before to get a proper sponsor and everything to pay for the accommodation, the transportation. And like I have a friend from Japan that want to go there, and so they've been contacting the embassy of Japan to try to find a sponsor. Like things are very clean, and I think that judo will develop easily there. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I like the point you were making there about seeing the other side of a country, and this is something I've talked about before with judo, and I think the last count was maybe more than you actually. I think I've been to 43 different countries, not in one go, but obviously spread out over the years of doing judo, and you just get to see a different side, a different part of the culture of that country through the judo. And even though there are a lot of the similarities of like how judo is judo, right, wherever you go in the world, it's very similar. But you're still getting a different aspect of the individuality of that country when you go there, and it's something I've loved about that side of the travel. And sometimes it was just, I could write a book on sports centres around the world. Because sometimes a trip would just be, you drive over from England. I'd drive over to Belgium for the weekend, and you would just pretty much get there, weigh in, do the judo competition, and then drive back. With maybe one portion of chips and mayonnaise on the way home. But I always try and see as much of wherever I was as I could, and it's something that I've really appreciated from judo, that it's not always emphasised. I don't think that you do get to see this other side of where you're going. And the other thing I like, we were talking last night, swapping some stories, because I've met Joe. Like I went we trained together for a long time. and well, a long time, but before the Olympics in 2012, he was over in the UK, the club I'm from, and I went for a meal with him in Japan and things. And that's another side of judo I think's amazing, is the fact that we get to share these stories of people that we meet, and we can pass on you to the next person and
Definitely.
be like the recommendation, and most people are willing to help out and be part of understand part of the bigger side of what judo's about and helping each other.
Yeah.
So
Definitely. Actually, you're very right when you say most of the people. And when we say most of the people, it's something like even above 90% of the people. Like most of the people really want just to help, and if it's not helping, actually just being nice to each other. Like it's very rare to have people that really don't care, especially in the judo world. And just actually it's one of the goals of the Judo Nomad project. I just want to link everybody in the world in the judo, because yes, judo is big. We're something like 30-40 million in the world, but in the end it's not that big. Like everybody know each other. And just for example, last week I was in Coffs Harbour, and one guy from Vanuatu contacted me and he said, "Oh, you're in Coffs Harbour, and actually I'm coming to work here in 3 months. Can you give me the contact of the judo club?" And so now I gave the contact to the judo club, and the guy is going to go to the judo. And this is exactly what I'm looking for. Like right now, the Indonesian Olympic team, they are in France, and it's like because I helped them to get the contact in France to do I don't help them to do the Grand Slam and everything, obviously, but like all the contact. And this is exactly what I'm trying to do, and this is what I'm going to do also with Hugo from Vanuatu to come in France, and eventually even more countries from the Pacific. So by the way, just about what you said in the beginning. So right now I travel to 39 countries with the project, but this is the project. In my life, probably more, but I don't count that. At the moment I started again from scratch when I started the project, but just one, for example, I used to live in Japan for 3 years, and so it would be 40, but I don't count that at the moment. And like exactly what you said about seeing the life of people, the life of judo player, the gymnasium and everything. It used to be, when I started the project, it used to be no flight, no hotel, exactly for that reason, because I wanted to see what is the life of the people everywhere. And it worked very good in all Europe. I didn't took any hotel, like hostels sometimes, but pretty much like staying with people. And then when I arrived in Asia, it started to be a little bit harder, depending on the culture, the religion and everything. You cannot be always host by the people, not because they're not generous or not nice. Like, for example, some Muslim countries like Azerbaijan, instead of hosting me at their place, they gave me like 4 or 5 star hotel to stay with them, So it's not that they don't want to spend or anything like that. It's just the culture. And I understood that. And at some point I said, okay, I'm going to take hotel if it's just not possible, And also on the other hand, I more and more need my own time. Like, it's very fun to be with the people, but it's been 3 years almost that I started the project, and I need my own time now. So sometimes it's good to cut with not even with the teaching. Sometimes I'm in the hotel and still teach judo, but at least I come back home, I can wake up whenever I want, I can eat whatever I want. If I want to go to run, I can run, just being the leader of my life. This is something I don't have anymore since something like 3 years. And sometimes it can be very challenging. And so that's why I need that moment, which never happened pretty much so far in Australia, because again, the country is too expensive, but it's going to be my birthday soon, and I plan to eventually take some times off because I could make a little bit of money here. So hopefully I will be able to have like a few days off, taking a hotel or something, since I'm not coming back home.
Yeah, nice. It's good to have a bit of time on your own every now and again, just reflect and relax and have a little bit moment for yourself. And it's something important I think you need to factor in every now and again.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the judo you've learned. So we spoke at the beginning about your teaching and how you structure your lessons and things. But what judo have you learned since we last spoke? So I'm pretty sure this was a question I asked you on the last podcast. So I don't know what you've been to, 10, 15 different countries since then, maybe
something like that.
Yeah. So what have you learnt in that time?
Yeah. Well, that's a funny thing. Like before we talked the last time before Kazakhstan, I would go in many countries and some very strong judo countries, and sometimes in the very strong judo countries, I'm going to some club and I'm just a member of the club and I'm not teaching anything. And in that case, I'm learning techniques and everything. Though, since Kazakhstan, so all the countries I've been, in many places, a little bit less in Australia, but in many places, they are so happy to have me that I never train with them. They want to take as much class they can as possible, so I can pretty much count it on my hand the time I didn't teach and I was training. And actually one of it was last week when we've been fighting together in Zembu Judo? Budokan, sorry. Don't want to make problem, but yeah, that was one of the only time. So the things I've learned the most actually doesn't come from judo. It come from MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because I got that often that, oh, please, can you come to teach for a seminar? So I'm teaching the seminar, I make some money and stuff like that. And usually they tell me like, okay, you can stay like an extra week or an extra month to have a free membership. And so I'm just coming with them. And okay, I'm going to do my gym and stuff like this, but they asked me to come to the wrestling MMA or to the striking MMA and stuff like this. And so if I want to teach in those sports, I think I need to know some basics in their sport. So I've been learning things from them actually. In judo, yeah, maybe the only thing I'm learning at the moment actually is from the IGF Academy, because recently, maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago, the IGF contacted me and told me they going to help me to pay back the debt I have actually, because I needed to borrow some money for making the project survive, because I still believe that the project's gonna work in the longer term, but just need more time. And so yeah, anyway, I had some support from the IGF and they answered that they would help me, but I have to pass the IGF and succeed to get that money from them. And so now I took the class. It's been 2-3 weeks already, and first class was pretty much about history of judo and stuff like this, like many things that I knew already. Now we start to come to the technical point, and of course we already know a lot of it, but it's always good to come back to the basics, and I'm really looking forward to do the practical session with some of the judo legend. Like, I don't know if Mr. Wuzinga will still be there, but I really hope so. Used to be someone I was watching when I was a kid, actually, like competing, doing his newaza technique. I don't know how we call it. Like in French, we say the Wuzinga roll. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. So at the moment, I don't learn too much. It's more about teaching. But actually, I'm learning from teaching also. Like when I was in Indonesia and they asked me, okay, you need to do 7 days of class 2 times a day and only about kumikata. It's like, yeah, okay, I know some kumikata, but that many class, it's like I had to dig deep in my knowledge, and then I need to look the things on internet, on YouTube. Like I'm also watching other YouTubers like Shintaro Higashi, for example, that I can mention, or some others, and then I find some trick and I learn it on the video. And it's thing that we do when we fight, but we never really think about it, and then I had to transfer to teaching it to Indonesian students, and then I learned it that way. So from the teaching I learned also.
Yeah, it's something we were talking about this before the podcast, we were talking about the IGF Academy, and it was something I did back in 2019, and I'd been coaching quite a bit before then, and my judo had started to change. But after doing the IGF Academy practical and having to do all 67 throws left and right in different directions, and just thinking about judo differently, it really evolved my understanding of judo, and that's pretty much what led to how the judo way of life has been shaped. Was from everything I learned on that course. It's a very, very good course. And I just want to touch on you mentioned there, so in Indonesia, and you were teaching the kumikata, and how have you had to change your style of teaching based on the country you're in and in relation maybe to the cultural differences or?
Yeah. Indonesia, not that much. Indonesia is obviously a Muslim country, but it's still like there's a lot of difference. There's a lot of Christian. You have some Buddhists from Bali, for example, Hindu also, but majority, I think that's a proper word in English, but like mostly Muslim. So about the way I teach, I really try to, as I said, like the project, there's no politics, there's no religion, there's nothing like that in the project. But on the other hand, I also don't want to disrespect anybody's culture or anything like that. So, for example, in every country, I would just do the same everywhere. But for example, in the Muslim countries, if I have to show something, I will show with men. I would try to avoid showing with women, especially the Newaza things, So, yeah, that's the only difference. And maybe Australia, for example, which is developed country and into the social part, a little bit like France, like UK, like USA, there are things you can do in some countries that you can't in countries like this. For example, I used to do that game that my teacher was doing with us when I was a kid. It's like at the end of the class, the teacher used to take off his belt, and then he was running and he was the wolf, and he was like snapping our legs or our butt with the belt. And I remember it was some of the best game I've ever did as a kid. I was loving it, and I know I can do those games in some places and the kids are always happy, but in some other places it could be a little bit tricky to do that. So I'm trying as much as possible to not change anything in the classes, but there's two things. Is first, I should stay respectful to the culture where I am, and on the other hand, I should not be stupid. So yeah, that's the only two things I'm trying to change. She's taking the long way.
She's taking the long way. So watching my girlfriend's currently struggling to to navigate her way through the balcony into two different doors so she doesn't disturb the podcast. But ironically, she has disturbed it anyway. I wanted to ask, so you mentioned about the ups and downs, and there's been a few setbacks and things going on, and you were mentioning how obviously moves a little bit low at times, and you spend a bit of time a bit longer in certain places just to regroup and get things together, both financially and I imagine so emotionally and things.
Definitely.
Why are you still doing the project? What has kept you motivated to keep going despite the setbacks? What's kept you focused on seeing your project through?
Yeah, well, the setbacks are not something that I believe will stop me. Like, the worst setback could be injuries. I had some injuries in the beginning. I'm touching wood at the moment, but so far nothing happened since then. But the things like, okay, yeah, I went to jail, okay, like I could have been kidnapped and stuff like this, in some other countries. But this is just stories. This is just money. Like, I'm fine with it. And at the moment, I even somehow enjoy talking about it. And it's fun since nothing happened physically. I'm still healthy after that. I'm very fine with it. The hardest part is the family. I miss my family a lot, and I want to be able to come back home more and more often in the future. I miss my friends also. Apart from that, I don't miss too much things in France. But yeah, families and friends are two things I miss the most. It started to be a little bit heavy on my shoulder that I pretty much don't live for myself for the last 3 years. I live only for the project. But this is a sacrifice I think I have to make in order to make it succeed. But yeah, I don't have any private life. I don't have time for me. But again, this is something in the future that I think I will be able to change just by, for example, coming back in France. My plan is to be in France twice a year, 3 months in total. At the moment, maybe in 5 years, it's going to be 6 months. I don't know. Like, the project is always changing, but I think I will be fine with that in the future. And so the question was, what kept me motivated to do it? is at the moment is just, I'm not even questioning that. It's just my life, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy to do it. I'm meeting new people every time. I'm very excited to go to new countries. I just went to Fiji and Vanuatu, and I was like a kid there, like with eyes wide open, seeing all those beautiful places, seeing how people do judo in those remote places of the world. It's always new. And if I was just a tourist going to see the famous thing, like I'm going to France to see the Eiffel Tower, I'm going to India to see the Taj Mahal and stuff like this, I feel like at some point I would be bored. Probably after like few months, a year, it will be boring to travel the world like this. But the fact that I'm living with people, as we said earlier, make everything so different, you know. And so I used to be okay judo player, like I was not European champion or anything like that, even like French medalist. And so I would never have thought that I could live with judo by being competitive somehow, because I could be a teacher in France, but nothing to do with the competition. Though this project is some kind of competition with myself somehow, you know. And now I'm really close actually to properly living with the project. And this is just a dream come true, traveling, doing judo, meeting so many interesting people. Like I'm talking with people that used to be my hero when I was a kid, you know. Like a few months ago, I don't know what I was doing, but I got a message, like the guy followed me on Instagram, and I got a message from him, and it was Flavio Canto from Brazil. And I was like watching all his fights and everything as a kid, and he was like, that would be an honor to have you in Brazil. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like I would be the one honored to come, you know. And so yeah, it's just, I'm living in a dream pretty much all the time. And sometimes bad thing happen, but it doesn't matter as far as I'm alive, as far as I'm healthy, you know. It's very fine. The only problem is the family. First, that I miss them, but even worse than that is that it can hurt them. That I'm doing that. I know, for example, my mother, my sister, my father, and everybody like miss me, and I care more about the fact that it give them pain to miss me than the fact that I miss them myself. You know, this is most hard. For example, I had something in Cambodia happened. I had a motorbike accident, and it was a little bit bad. Like I knocked my head on the floor, I lost conscience, and just because I didn't, this is very stupid, but just because I didn't want it to make my mother worry, she have the access on my bank details, you know, I didn't go to the hospital, which is very stupid, you know, because I could have died actually. But yeah, so that's one of the examples, but I would not do anything like that anymore. So yeah, no, to just conclude, what make me keep doing it is it's still amazing. I still feel like a kid, and also I have more and more recognition. Like everywhere I going, the project is growing more and more, and I cannot even step back anymore. I have, for example, now I'm living fully, the project is only surviving with the money from the donation, the Buy Me a Coffee strategy, and I have 130 people giving me money every month. That's quite a big thing, but 130 people giving money, maybe $1, maybe $5 to $50, some of them. But I also have those people like you, for example, that host me in their house. So if you think about the number of people that's supporting the project, actually you're doing both, like you're supporting financially and logistically like here. But if you think about all the people that help the project around, it's like thousands of people that helping me to do that. And I feel very good with that. But on the other hand, I would feel guilty to stop, because so many people help me to realize that dream that I have. But also I think it would be a good thing for judo. So I cannot step back anymore. Like even in my private life, if I want to focus into my private life, like, I don't know, having a girlfriend or something like that, it's possible, but it's extremely hard. If tomorrow, for example, there's all those people that send me money every month, and all those people like the Federation of Australia, the Federation of Oceania, that help me to go there and there, spending sometimes thousands of dollars. Like Josate Kinolu is the one that paid from his own pocket to get me in Fiji, and I say, oh no, yeah, I just met a girl here in Australia, I think I'm going to stay here, and goodbye Judo Nomad project. That could be okay, because in the end that's my life. If I get married and stuff like that, good, but I would feel guilty somehow. But there's nothing like that at the moment. I just feel very good about what I'm doing.
Yeah, amazing. I think, like I said, we connected back in 2022, and just through the power of social media, and obviously kept in touch, and it's great to be sat here. And like you say, it sounds like it's a higher level of purpose now. You know, the project, and it's been great to watch it grow, and you see how how sort of you've navigated the trials and tribulations as you've gone through, and it's great to hear that you're gonna keep going. Actually, funny, just before I ask my next question, is you said about Flavio Canto. I fought him in a competition. We did a team competition in Brazil, and it was like an invitational thing that Brazil did for I think it was in 2012, I think, and it was a part of their Olympic project for 2016, okay, and they invited French team, Portuguese team, and Great Britain. And so there's 4 teams, and we did 2 team competitions, and in the first one was like a bit of a warm-up, and then the second one was like the main event, and I fought Flavio, and I was starstruck, because again, it was like one that, like, someone I'd watched as a kid, and I went out to fight him, and I just couldn't get over the fact that I was fighting Flavio, and he beat me, obviously, and I just couldn't concentrate on the fight. I was just like, oh my god, like, this is incredible. I couldn't believe I was going out to fight him, and but I was just so desperate to avoid being arm locked, that he just threw me with Tom Nag anyway. So yeah.
People?
Oh yeah, of course. Oh. Yeah. But amazing experience, and so it was a good trip. First time, probably one of the only times I ever felt like a superstar doing judo. And we had, so it was televised on one of the main TV channels, and we weren't really aware of this, and we were going out afterwards, and I'm very white and ginger, right? And we stand out like a sore thumb in places like Brazil, right? So pretty obvious, and people were coming up to us in the street and saying they'd seen the judo competition and watched it on TV, and we were like it never happens anywhere, you know. So it was really cool. Anyway, back to probably the last question. We'll wrap this up because we're meeting people for lunch, and we've spoken a little bit about this. You've dropped little hints of things that are coming up, but where's the project taking you next?
Yeah. So you were saying it just before, actually, that and I was saying it also, that the project is like growing, you know, and getting more and more legitimacy. So one of the things is that Vanuatu asked me to be the Olympic coach for the next Olympic in Paris. So Paris will be one of the next big event that I'm waiting to be there, because I'm gonna see like a lot of people I've seen everywhere in the world. I'm passing the IGF Academy things, which will allow me to be also present in the IGF competition eventually as a coach. And so we talked about that, like going to the Olympic, but eventually they also asked me to go to the next, mini games, which is going to be in Palau. So the mini games are all Oceania except Australia and New Zealand. And we'll see in the future, maybe I'm going to be on other IGF events as a coach, and I would love to. But this is just the coaching side, which would not take too long. You know, it's just like maybe 1 or 2 months a year in the project. But apart from that, I have a plan with the countries I want to go, but it's always changed depending on the invitation I can have. So now I can stay in Australia till 20th of May. After that, my visa is not valid anymore. So after Australia, I will go to New Zealand. I don't know yet if I will be able to finish all Australian cities and clubs that want to see me within the 20th of May, but we'll see. After that, I'm going to New Zealand few weeks. I don't know how long yet. I have some contact, but I didn't work any plan as I'm waiting to finish with Australia, knowing I don't even know where I go tomorrow. So that's the thing. And after Australia, I'm going to Numea in Caledonia, but again, it needs to be confirmed by the federation and everything. But technically, I'm going to work with the Pacific countries that are going to have a training camp there, and especially that guy, Hugo Combo from Vanuatu. And then I bring them to France for training camp before the Olympic. I'm going to stay in France, taking time for judo, but mostly to see my family and friends. As I said in the beginning, I'm going to stay like 2 months. September, I have to pass the IGF practice exam, probably in UK, and then I'm gonna be back. If I didn't have time to finish Australia, I will be back in Australia, but I don't really want to fly from France to Australia because the price of the ticket is crazy. What I would like is to fly back to Indonesia, and then I have 2 or 3 islands that I couldn't go before in Indonesia that they want to have me, which is Sulawesi and Kalimantan, and it's just nearby the next country, which is Brunei. After Brunei, Philippines, Taiwan, China, and then that's going to be very interesting, this next parts, because Japan, where I have a lot of things to do over there, and after that, South Korea, North Korea, Russia, Mongolia, Ukraine, Belarus. So it's going to be interesting time, but all that's gonna take a little bit more than a year, I think. But we'll see. Also, now that the relationship always been good with the IGF, but now that they asked me officially to pass the IGF Academy, and they didn't talk about like one-time sport, but about something that could eventually come back every year. What I hope is, and this is what I asked them actually, to be an official member of the IGF. I'm not at the moment, but I would like that eventually they send me on like mission or something like that. So technically I could be here in Australia, but if I have to do a mission in Africa, hopefully I could do things like that. But this is just suggestion. I don't know if it will ever happen. And at the moment that's it. So I have a good relationship with IGF. I'm about to work with Kodokan as well. We still need to exchange some talks with them. Still have nothing with the French Judo Federation. But I'm working also with the Olympic Committee, and a lot of things going to happen soon.
Amazing. And to wrap things up, you've mentioned a couple of different options, but for people who want to help support, but maybe if you want to just go through everywhere people can find you on social media, and then if people do want to help support the project, how they can do so.
Yeah. So first, following the project on any social media you like, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, the Judo Nomad. Feel free to contact me also. I'm making a website, but it's going to take some time to finish the website. Feel free to contact me, helping me in the countries to get either a judo club, place to sleep, or even we can share a drink, a meal, whatever, like talking together, no problem. Otherwise, to make the project survive at the moment, I'm having 750 euro a month, which is really far from what I need to be able to survive in Oceania. And I'm making that with what's called the Buy Me Coffee strategy. So you can find the links of my Patreon on my Instagram, but otherwise you just Google the Judo Nomad Patreon. And so if people want to help, it only starts from $1 a month. And if some people want to give more, they can, obviously. From $5 a month, I send 1 postcard. From $13 a month, I send 1 postcard every month to the people that participate. And it's been working like that. I'm also looking for like proper sponsor in order to buy new material and stuff like this. And that's the main way to help. But even just a little message, I'm always happy to talk with new people.
Amazing. And it's been great actually meeting you. And as I said, we did Randora the other night, and it was something I was, so my girlfriend, she's new to judo since meeting me, and I was all excited. I was like, I'm going to meet somebody new and, do some randori with them. And she couldn't understand, why I was so excited. But for me, it's one of the beautiful things about judo is just getting to meet people and do randori with them. And, really appreciate you coming down to the Judo Way of Life Academy last night and teaching. And we talk about learning. It was, I learned some new little exercises to do with the foot sweeps that I hadn't seen before, so I'll be definitely using those to carry on with the students. And I really appreciate you sitting down. And as you said, you stayed here last night. So it was great to we had shared a pizza and a few beers, and it was good to just talk about judo and the people that we've met as well, that we both know and things. So, and it's been great. So I really appreciate that. And so anyone that's listening, if you want to support, please do so. It's a fantastic project, and if you want Julien to visit your dojo, or you want him just to come and you're able to give him a little inflatable mattress or a sofa to sleep on, please reach out and message him. And yes, I'm really glad that I did. So
just one last thing actually, because you were talking about it, we just met, and it's really nice to have rendered together. By the way, I want another one because it was quite hard last week. But one thing is, we speak, even though it's not my own language, we can speak English together and we understand each other pretty well, so it's fine. Like, this connection is easy to get. But this is something amazing about judo, that in some countries, like, I know some Japanese, I know some Russian, but I don't know enough to connect with people. But as soon as you get that randori, as soon as you fight with people, depending on the level, but you give someone a good fight that give you back a good fight, and it's making some kind of connection, which is amazing. And maybe that's the thing that your girlfriend cannot understand, but this is something I really love about judo. I've been to many countries like that, like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, like all those countries where in first the people look a little bit cold, like a little bit weird, maybe a little bit scary, Then you have a good fight with them and you end up being like the best friends. No words needed, just a good fight. And so, I think that's going to be it for today. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for inviting me. And feel free to reach me. And don't forget to leave a comment on that video and a like.
No, thank you very much. Right, let's go and get some lunch. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you for listening. And we're back. We're back with a podcast. There'll be more episodes coming soon. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that.
Thank you.